Hi there, you're watching Market Cafe on ET Now with me, Shreyansi Singh and Sashi Sharma. And this is the show where we get you highlights coming in from globally as well as news from within the country as well. Tell you which stocks you should be keeping on your radar as well and tell you what the brokerages are saying as well. But first things first, well, let's take a look at what the US markets are doing.
Well, certainly, Shreyansi, it was indeed a good day coming in for the US markets because what we have seen is that over 400 points of gain coming in for Dow Jones, the S&P 500 and even Nasdaq too gained in the green yesterday. It was a bit of a volatile day indeed, but yes, the benchmark indices did close higher and there were a lot of news flow around as well as, yes, of course, in the initial trading session, there was some concerns with respect to the fresh tariffs and the tariffs finally going through. But then, of course, there were some of the announcements or some of the expectations rather that there could be some moderation with respect to the tariffs that have been announced. It was the auto stocks that were doing pretty well for themselves as Trump did decide to delay the implementation of 25% tariffs on the auto imports from Mexico and China by 1 month, and that helped the markets and even some of the auto counters do pretty well for themselves yesterday. It was Nasdaq too, which was up around 1%, and some of the other stock actions. We were following Moderna, which surged around 16% following the optimism about its personalized cancer vaccine and along with that significant internal stock purchase by its CEO. So that was the trigger coming in from Moderna. But well, of course, yes, it was indeed a good day coming in for the US market. So we can definitely say that it's a good handover for the Indian markets as well. But the another macro data, Shreyansi, is the crude oil prices, and falling crude is also good for the Indian markets indeed.
Well, absolutely. Let's take a look at oil prices and what they did, because we've seen quite a move come in terms of the week that we've seen. Oil prices, of course, have been declining. For a third session, we saw them declining as investors were worried about OPEC Plus plans to proceed with output increases in the month of April, and US President Donald Trump's tariffs as well on Canada, Mexico and China. So those were something that also escalated trade tensions, raised a little bit of worries as far as energy demand is concerned. But when you take a look at Brent crude prices, 2.5% downtick is what you're looking at for Brent. Below that $70 a barrel level is where Brent was at. And when you take a look at US WTI as well, 3% decline coming in for US WTI. $66 a barrel is the kind of level that was notched as far as WTI was also concerned. Now prices, of course, paid some losses after hitting those multi-year lows earlier in the session. So Brent sank to $68 thereabout per barrel, its lowest coming in since December 2021. And even when you take a look at US crude futures, that's $65, lowest since May 2023. In terms of news flow, of course, you have US crude stockpiles that rose more than expected last week amid seasonal refinery maintenance. Also, gasoline and distillate inventories also fell due to a hike in exports. And this is, of course, according to the EIA. So that largely is the kind of handover coming in. Brent, of course, fell more than $2 after the data was released. So we're definitely keeping an eye on what really happens to US crude stockpiles going forward as well next week. But for now, you also have, in terms of other factors, OPEC Plus's output hike that kicks in from the month of April. And they're going to be hiking output by 138,000 barrels per day. So that also is the first output hike coming in, planned output hike since 2022. Definitely something that we're keeping an eye on as far as oil prices are concerned, Srishti.
All right, but back home, let's also tell you that which are the cues that you should be watching out for. Firstly, from the Indian markets, it's a weekly Nifty expiry, so let's watch out for that. But globally, we will be tracking the trade and initial jobless claims data. That is something that will be the key for the US markets as well, and wholesale inventory data will also be out. From the Eurozone, watch out for retail sales, ECB rate decision as well, and stock-specific action also expected because it's the last day to buy the shares and to be eligible for dividend when it comes to SBI Life. Some of the other event, the Fed governor is expected to speak, so let's watch out for that. What commentary we get on that particular front.
Well, absolutely. And speaking of commentary, I think commentary coming in as far as tariffs are also concerned is also very important to watch out for. On a day after Canada and Mexico threatened retaliatory tariffs in the US, the White House announced a 1-month exemption for automakers. In fact, the announcement came post Trump's call with heads of General Motors, Ford Motor and Stellantis. Companies, in fact, have urged Trump to waive 25% tariffs levied on Mexico and Canada on vehicles that comply with the United States, Mexico-Canada agreements, trade rules of origin as well. In fact, the American Automotive Policy Council, that's a trade group representing the big three Detroit automakers, applauded Trump's decision, recognizing that vehicles and parts that meet the high US and regional USMCA content requirements should be exempt from these tariffs. In fact, Trump's press secretary also said, and I quote, reciprocal tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd, but at the request of the companies associated with the USMCA, the president is giving them an exemption for 1 month, so they're not at an economic disadvantage. She also added that Trump may be open to hearing requests from other industries seeking exemptions as well. According to reports, in fact, GM CEO Mary Barra, Stellantis chairman John Elkann, and Ford CEO Jim Farley and Ford chair Bill Ford also participated in the call with Trump to negotiate the terms of this particular exemption that we just talked about. Reacting to the news flow, then shares of GM, Ford and Stellantis shot up. So that's the update coming in as far as auto tariffs are concerned.
But keeping up with the tariffs, now as per the reports, the Trump administration is thinking of carrying out certain agricultural products from tariff imposed on Mexico and Canada. Beg your pardon. But according to the Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins, everything is on the table. She said that specific exemptions and carve-outs, perhaps for potash and fertilizer, etc., may be on the cards.
Rather than meanwhile, the US president also got on a call with the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Trump, in fact, criticized Trudeau, accusing him of leveraging the tariff issue to maintain political stronghold. Over the call, both leaders spoke about the smuggling of fentanyl into the US from Canada and Mexico. In fact, the US president also called out his Canadian counterpart, said that Canada's efforts to avert tariffs were not good enough. So that's some key important commentary coming in, a very strong-footed commentary coming in from Trump as well. According to Trump, the call ended on a somewhat cordial note. So, well, that's what he also had to say about this particular interaction.
We're shifting focus to Mexico now, wherein President Sheinbaum reiterates that stands over tariffs. He says that Mexico may look at other trade partners if necessary in the wake of the tariffs. Now, in her address, she calls the ongoing spat a definitive moment for Mexico. In fact, she also assured that economically Mexico is doing okay and that as a nation, they will not submit to the tariffs. Now, both of them, like Sheinbaum as well as Trump, expected to get on the call later today.
Rather than moving on, time now for highlights from the Federal Reserve Survey Beach Book. According to the report, economic activity in the US has been uneven since mid-January, even as unemployment nudged higher and inflation also saw a modest increase coming in. Overall, the expectations for economic activity over the coming months were optimistic, and compared with January, the survey also reflected growing anxiety among businesses across most districts about how Trump's plans to increase import duties and restrict immigration could affect demand as well as prices. In fact, the report also included 47 mentions of uncertainty, up from 17 in the January report, and 49 mentions of tariffs, up from just 23 in January and 11 in December.
All right, but for this, viewers, it's now time to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more. Welcome back to Market Cafe, and the biggest talking point indeed is the tariffs, and Donald Trump has actually granted 1 month exemption for the automakers. So let's go across to Sumita Karir to get us more updates on the latest move on tariff front. Take it away, Sumita.
Absolutely, and that's the latest that we're getting so far as the tariff situation is concerned. There's been a lot of brouhaha, lots of back and forth between, of course, countries like China and Canada and the United States. And of course, now the White House says that the US president will exempt automakers from his punishing 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico for a month, as long as the White House says that it complies with the rules. Now, what's happened from Canada's side? Well, apparently there was a phone call. And the phone call, according to what Donald Trump's Truth Social post says, that it ended in somewhat friendly manner. Donald Trump stated that of course, there was an escalation of war of words, etc. But rocky negotiations definitely have started. And Donald Trump also stated he did accuse Trudeau of doing little to sort of curb the fentanyl crisis that the United States is dealing with, that is illegal fentanyl trafficking. Trump also then questioned Trudeau's role in Canadian upcoming federal election as well. Meanwhile, the Mexican president has also responded. She also, in a press conference, made a couple of statements that are related to tariffs. And let me just go to that tweet that has been put out by the administration, by the Mexican president. In fact, she stated that Mexico could pursue other measures, other trade related measures, and of course, will look for other trade partners if that is necessary in the wake of US tariffs. But she says that it's definitely a very definitive moment for Mexico. She says that the economy is fine, but there is a no submission. Now, reports also suggest that after chatting with the Canadian Prime Minister, Donald Trump might have a conversation with the Mexican president as well, and which is later this night.
Or rather, very important commentary coming in from Claudia Sheinbaum. Thank you so much, Sumita, for getting us an update bright and early this morning about what is happening exactly on the tariff front as well. Like Sumita said, lots to monitor on that front. But tell you what, let's quickly take a look at what Asia is doing and what Asia is up to right now, because Asian markets mostly higher at this point, investors assessing China growth and inflation targets. On your screens, of course, you can see Nikkei that's up about 0.7%, but it's really Hang Seng that's eking out quite the gains coming in. When you take a look at Hang Seng on your screens, over a 2% uptick coming in for Hang Seng, Shanghai as well. Holding on to a tinge of green at this point, 0.5% uptick coming in as far as Shanghai is concerned. And let's also, on the flip side, take a look at ASX 200, because that's the one that's down about 0.6%. Even Kospi, similar moves coming in. A tinge of red is what Kospi is also holding on to. 0.5%, 0.6% uptick, in fact, coming in as far as the Kospi is concerned. But largely, when you take a look at the Asian markets, it's a good handover coming in as far as Asian markets are concerned. Of course, back home, we shut shop above the 22,300 levels. And currently, what is being penciled in is a gap up open. We have a great handover coming in from the Wall Street, even though Wall Street was down on a week-to-date basis. And we have a good handover coming in, even as far as Asia is concerned. So let's see how we open up, Srishti.
Well, yes, let's watch out for that. Even GIFT Nifty is indicating a positive start for now. But let's also tell you which are the big voices that you will be seeing on the channel today. Firstly, 9:20, we'll connect with Dheeraj Agarwal, who is the MD at Ambit Investment Managers. And we will try to find out that what's happening, what's his outlook on the markets right now, and how you should navigate the volatility. At 9:50, we'll be joined by Ameera Shah, who's the promoter and executive chairperson at Metropolis Healthcare. And we will try to find out what's been happening within the healthcare space as well as the diagnostic space specifically, and what kind of a price action is the industry experiencing. At 10:20, watch out for the interaction with Vivek Paul. He's the head of portfolio research at BlackRock Investment Institute. So we will watch out for more details on this one. And at 10:20, we'll put the spotlight on what's been happening within the crude basket, what's the expectation from the whole oil and gas space, and catch the interaction with Yogesh Patel at 10:20 a.m. today.
All right, and that's a very power-packed lineup for you right there. But welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, time now to get you some more news and updates. In fact, the RBI has stated that it will carry out open market operation purchases of Government of India securities worth rupees 1 lakh crore in 2 phases. And the first auction is going to be 50,000 crores, is scheduled for March 12th, and followed by another 50,000 crore auction on March 18th. In fact, Ankur is standing by with more details. Ankur?
Yes, Reserve Bank of India has announced liquidity measures to ease out the situation. The announcements are of more than rupees 1 lakh crore, whereby the 50,000 crore each OMOs will be conducted this month. Apart from that, dollar-rupee swaps have also been planned after receiving a good response, which was there on February 28. The amount is of $10 billion. All in all, the Reserve Bank is likely to have injected more than rupees 3 lakh crore liquidity into the system after various measures which has been taken by the central bank. The anticipation is that there will be tax outflow due to advance tax filing, which is set for 15th March, and for that the preparation has been made by the banking regulator. The liquidity has been in deficit since last year, November, December, and the central bank is trying to ease the situation and anticipating the tax outflow. All these measures have been taken, but the assurance is that as and when more steps are needed, central banks may announce more measures as per requirement.
All right, thanks Ankur for getting us all of those important details. Tell you what, let's get you some more news and updates. Then India is looking to expand its textile exports to the US as reciprocal tariffs from the Trump-led administration loom. In fact, the textile ministry is set to chair a key meeting with industry players to push exports to boost their Atmanirbhar Bharat agenda. Sameer Dikshit filed this report. Let's take a look.
So textile is the big sector where government is very keen that it will have a wider access in the American market, and the domestic industry will be benefited a lot. And they are taking the entire scenario as a golden opportunity for Indian textile. And that is the reason that what we are picking up from our sources, that the textile ministry is soon going to chair a very important meeting with the key stakeholders, particularly with the industry players, and they will discuss that how they can push the export, especially how the quality material could be exported more. Kasturi yarn, this specific type of cotton, Indian Kasturi is considered as one of the best quality cotton, which can have a better access, more market in America, and that is going to be pushed from Indian side. In addition to this, the global factors, for example, if you see the political turmoil in the neighboring countries, especially in Bangladesh, not just this, the possibility of the war coming to an end between Russia and Ukraine, that is also giving sort of an opportunity for Indian textile industry, because this is likely to give more export order from the European countries. And also Indian domestic textile industry is now ramping up the manufacturing capacity that has already been indicated from the government side. So these are a couple of factors which are actually contributing that Indian textile can actually have a much wider export basket for America. If you see, America has also imposed a reciprocal tariff on China, especially on cotton. So this will definitely make the Chinese product, the cotton and cotton-based apparel, a bit costlier in American market. And this will also have a sort of an opportunity for Indian players that they can provide comparatively a qualitative material at a much lesser price. So seeking these sort of factors, Indian government understand that though there are several other sectors which might be looking for the possibility, but textile is definitely one such sector which can have a bigger export basket in the American market. And to concrete this entire theory, the textile ministry is going to chair important meeting with the industry players, and then they can formulate a strategy which can be further pushed to Commerce Ministry, and then through the Finance Ministry, they can actually execute it. But as of now, textile is the big focus area for Indian government, and they are looking to get Indian textile much wider access or the market in America, and then they can proceed for the same.
All right, then thanks, Sameer, for getting us all of those updates. Tell you what, let's also get you some commentary then. And as India embarks on its journey to become a global hub for semiconductor manufacturing, it's Gujarat that is emerging as the front runner in driving this transformation. In fact, Gujarat Semiconnect 2025, happening from March 5th to 7th, is going to be shaping India's semiconductor future. We'll also be providing key insights into policy frameworks and visionary strategies. And speaking at the event, then you have the Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patil, who says that Gujarat is working towards becoming high-tech center of India, and initiatives the likes of Make in India, local to global value chain has to be integrated as well. Let's go across and listen in to what he had to say.
Make in India, make for the world और लोकल टू ग्लोबल वैल्यू चेन को संकलित करके वैश्विक मांग की आपूर्ति में भारत और गुजरात सबसे आगे रहे, इसी दिशा में प्रधानमंत्री के दिशा दर्शन में हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। भारत सरकार की तर्ज पर हमने भी राज्य में गुजरात स्टेट इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मिशन कार्यरत किया है। अधिकतर सेमीकंडक्टर कंपनियां ने अपने यूनिट्स की स्थापना के लिए भारत में गुजरात को अपनी पहली पसंद बनाया है। वर्तमान में भारत में स्थापित होने वाले 5 में से 4 सेमीकंडक्टर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट्स गुजरात में स्थापित हो रहे हैं। हाल ही में ग्लोबल कैपेबिलिटी सेंटर पॉलिसी की भी घोषणा की है। इसमें प्रदेश में एआई, मशीन लर्निंग और एनालिटिक्स जैसी टेक्नोलॉजी के उद्योग और स्टार्टअप को बढ़ावा मिलेगा। हमने इनोवेशन को बल देने के लिए गिफ्ट सिटी में एआई सेंटर ऑफ एक्सेलेंस भी कार्यरत किए हैं। इन सब के कारण आने वाले समय में ग्लोबल सेमीकंडक्टर वैल्यू चेन में गुजरात का स्थान अवश्य ही अग्रिम रहेगा।
All right, and that's the commentary coming in from Bhupendra Patel, who's the Chief Minister of Gujarat, who talks about Gujarat working towards becoming a high-tech center of India. So very important commentary right there. But tell you what, let's also switch gears to Motown. Then Italian sports bike maker Ducati has launched Panigale V4 at rupees 29.9 lakh rupees. In fact, this new car features several changes over its predecessor, the new bike. In fact, the company also plans to introduce its motocross bikes in the Indian market next year as it looks to further strengthen its product range in the country. Let's get a word going from the management of the company, MD Bipul Chandra.
Panigale as a brand or as a bike family is very important to our overall India numbers. Last year also we have done pretty well. In fact, as an amazing fact, the Scrambler on the lower price spectrum and Panigale as our flagship brand, almost they sold equal in numbers. So you can understand how important Panigale is to us, and that's why we are very happy with this new generation bike and looking forward to a great success with this bike.
And one thing is about Donald Trump. He has always pointed out the big duties from America. If India cuts down duties and if import of the super bikes comes, it becomes easier from US. You prepared for that scenario?
Well, we already have FTA with Thailand from where we get the bikes, so that's already working very well for us. And in case there is as it has been spoken in the budget as well, there is a lowering down of duty by certain percentage points. So that's good for us because we get a couple of bikes from Italy, so that works well for us. So Superleggera or Panigale V4 are probably they can be beneficial bikes.
Does it mean that the prices of them are becoming cheaper because duties have come down?
Yes. So we need to look at the situation in the correct perspective, because by the moment these bikes will come now, they will all be a new bike. The older generation bikes we are already through with. So we need to look at the pricing, whatever pricing we give to the bikes at that point of time. So on a like-to-like basis, well, yes, customs duty comes down, so the bike price comes down. That's the mathematics. But what will be the exact price, that I need to look into the future, because then whatever R&D, whatever things we do to the bike, so that the price will be different by that time.
All right, then let's get you some more commentary, but get a little stock specific then, because it's IRFC that was buzzing away in trade yesterday, 2.7% uptick coming in as far as that stock was concerned. Now, IRFC has been granted the Navratna status by the government, marking a significant achievement for the financial institution under the Ministry of Railways. In fact, Aishwarya Patil caught up with the MD and CEO to understand the roadmap going forward. Let's go across and listen in.
With this status that has been conferred day before yesterday, which was announced by our Honorable Railway Minister, about Navratna, it indeed gives us more legroom and more freedom to the board to take decisions in a faster manner. And 2.0, as you mentioned, it is going ahead and funding not only to Indian Railway, but to the whole Indian Railway ecosystem. This mandate was already there with IRFC to fund anything backward forward linked to the railway ecosystem. But earlier we were limiting ourselves only to Indian Railways. So now that we have decided to fund any of the projects which are linked to the railways, including renewable energy, port connectivity, in fact metro railways also will be on our radar now. So looking at the quality of assets and maintaining a scenario where we remain zero NPA, we believe that with more and more non-railway mix per se in the railway ecosystem, our margins are going to increase steeply.
Domestic projects that you have that are in the pipeline have already been signed. You mentioned some of that, NTPC, etc. If you could talk a little bit about that.
So in the last 2 months, 2 bids we participated and became lowest. One is NTPC and Jharkhand government project in Patratu, where 3,200 crores we became L1. And there were another one was NTPC Renew for 20,000 crore, where there are a few other participants also. Out of that 20,000 crore, 7,500 crore that we have been allotted.
So, on as far as the AUM is concerned, next, say, a 5-year target, is there a milestone set on that for IRFC as the MD and CEO?
So right now with 2.0, the one thing I can safely tell you that every quarter there has to be increase in AUM as well as in the bottom line. While AUM may not grow in that manner because we are looking for the projects outside railways also in the railway ecosystem, but my margins will be going high because there I'll be getting much more than what I'm getting in the railways at 40 bps. So my bottom line will be growing in a steeper manner, but my AUM also will be growing in a good manner.
All right, then that's commentary coming in from IRFC. That stock was buzzing away in trade yesterday, but tell you what, let's slip into a very short break. When we come back, we'll get you some more news and updates. All right, then time now to get you the futures and options roundup. In fact, Ansh is standing by with just that. Ansh.
Let's start with Nifty first. So Nifty snapped its 10th session losing streak, which is very positive for the market. Also, it recovered almost 50% of that Monday's fall. Also, if you talk about index future, then here we are seeing that open interest has gone down by around 2%, indicating short covering. In addition to this, if we talk about index option, then here also we are seeing very active call buying happening at 22,400 strike, indicating option traders are expecting Nifty to go above this level and sustain there. Also, today we have weekly option expiry, so we may see some volatility in the market. If we talk about Nifty Bank, then here also we saw good positivity as Nifty Bank advances for second consecutive session, whereas in index future we are seeing that open interest has gone down by around 2.3%, indicating very good short covering. Let's also have a look over index future positions. FII in the previous session have added some longs by around 1,800 contracts. They have covered short by also by around 1,000 contracts. So net to net we are seeing addition of around 2,800 contracts, due to which the total position has inched higher from 16.7% to 17.3%. On flip side, if you talk about retail, then they have also added a long position by around 2,000 contracts. They have covered some short by around 300 contracts, but net to net we are seeing good long addition by retail as well. So both FII and retail seems to be adding positive positions in the market.
Well, absolutely. Thanks, Ansh, for getting us that update. So weekly expiry, and on the back of that, we're of course going to be keeping an eye on the Nifty weekly contracts, but that will now be expiring on Mondays, and that's also an update that we got this week. But moving on, then let's get you some more news and updates. Let's get you the list then of stocks that you should be keeping on your radar bright and early this morning. Varun is standing by with just that list.
Well, so first keep an eye on auto stocks, especially Tata Motors, Bharat Forge and Sona BLW, because President Donald Trump has given 1-month tariff exemptions to US automakers whose vehicles comply with the United States, Mexico and Canada agreement, and they want, actually US wants zero tariff on car imports in India in the trade deal. So keep an eye on auto stocks. Other than that, keep an eye on the oil marketing companies, the upstream companies, paint, aviation, tire companies, because crude oil, it has hit 3 years low, that is $68.33, Brent crude I'm speaking about. So this would have a positive impact on oil marketing companies, on aviation companies, paint companies, but a negative impact on the upstream companies. Zydus Life, the company has received US FDA approval for a cancer drug. TCS, the company has partnered with Vantage Towers to revolutionize telecom site management across Europe. Other than that, LIC Housing Finance, the company has actually approved the borrowing limit for FY25 and 26, and the borrowing limit is 1.22 lakh crore. Ola Electric, the company has actually received 73.74 crore rupees incentive under the PLI auto scheme for FY23 and 24. Castrol, now this is a news from agencies that Saudi Aramco has actually set to move bought for BP's Castrol lubricant asset. Now this is the global business for whom Saudi Aramco is set to bid for this. Other than that, keep an eye on Tata Steel and JSW Steel, because there is a commentary from ArcelorMittal Nippon, and they say that the import curbs, if you remember in the month of December, there were import curbs on met coke. So they say that this would impact the overall India production and delay expansion. So on the news of this, you need to keep an eye on overall metal companies, steel companies especially.
All right, thanks Varun for that update coming in. We'll keep an eye on the steel counters as well, other than the stocks that you flagged for us as well. But moving on, let's get you some more interesting commentary. Is it India's moment on the global stage? Chris Wood remains bullish. despite a near-term cut in their ratings across portfolios. In fact, you have Jim Walker as well, who says that India stands out for policy stability. Both these voices agree that India and China could be the biggest winner when it comes to this year. Let's go across and listen in to what else they had to say.
Given India's already corrected a lot, it will fall less. But the key market that will outperform if the US market's going down, well, there'll be the two markets which have got a chance of outperforming in the nearest. Well, they have been outperforming year to date, and they can do so more, I would say, are China and India. So China, I've increased my position in China in the last few months. China bottomed last September at about 8 times earnings. And although China is not booming, the Chinese market can double just on Chinese consumers going from pathologically cautious, which is what they were last year, to moderately cautious.
The state of policy generally, so monetary policy, fiscal policy, and exchange rate policy. India looks to, I said this in a report that went out yesterday to our clients, that India looks better to me now than at any time in the last 30 years in terms of policy stability. You know, I've said to clients this week that this is the time to absolutely double down on the long on India, go much, much longer. And they, although worry about the valuations in the Indian stock market, my view is that economic growth is going to take off from here. And those valuations will be very quickly supported by corporate earnings and by economic growth.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.